we'll pass on that one. I'm going to go over to Facebook and
Yeah, it looks like we're there.
Oh, we are public already? Good.
I don't know. The thing says on the screen we're looking at that it's streaming. So
Can you see your? Hopefully it'll come up.
yeah, it looks like we're there.
Yes.
We are public already. Good.
I want to make sure. Oh, it says only visible to me.
We are public already. Good.
So I want to make sure that everybody can see it. Okay. Facebook, hi. How you doing? Come on in. We're having a wedding today. If you're here for Niko, you sit over there. No, I'm kidding. He's a guest on Comic Spot again because he's humble and he has some things to brag about. And he's relatively young in the comedy community, killing it all over the place. You got to hear this. I'm going to say your old intro, and then you get a whole lot of time to tell us what else has happened. Okay?
All right. Let's see.
All righty. Let me go back to the intro from a few months ago.
It feels like years ago. I have no idea how time is right now. It's so weird. I really have no idea how long ago it was.
I'm so glad that they don't use day of the week underwear anymore. So I'd be up a crick. Okay. Niko Lukoff has been a joke all his life. Can anybody relate? We all can relate to that one. He's been a joke all his life. And a year ago, a little over a year now, he was on a trip for work and he began to tell jokes to strangers. Immediately hooked. He'd hit mics on his travel, primarily in the Northwest. When the pandemic hit, he created a Facebook group, which is amazing, by the way, Displaced Comedians. We'll have him talk about that, for fellow isolated verbalists to connect. Isn't that amazing? Displaced Comedians on Facebook. He's since performed on hundreds, probably thousands by now, of Zoom mics and dozens of Zoom shows, including those on Palm Springs International Comedy Festival, Plano Virtual Comedy Festival, showcases on Flappers Burbank, and I think you host there now, on Zoom, where he currently hosts. He does the Thursday night Zoom open mic at Flappers in Burbank. Kind of braggy, but OMG, he deserves to brag. He has over 4,000 people on Displaced Comedians, and that was as of the last time I interviewed him. Let's give it up for my friend and yours and my connection to being popular in the Portland comedy scene, Niko Lukoff.
Hey, thank you, Linda.
Hi, how are you, Niko?
I'm doing pretty well. How you doing this lovely, I think it's Sunday, right? Yes, Sunday morning.
It's Sunday. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh. Sundays used to be special. Does anybody remember? What's been going on with you, Niko?
Oh, geez. Just been doing it a lot. Just been doing more Zooms, going through more mics, meeting more people, doing different shows, seeing a lot of people that in the beginning, we probably talked about this a little bit last time. You know, we're not super interested in doing Zooms because it's just super weird and no one wants to. But then a lot of people that are going like, hey, this is a thing that I either have been missing out on or just don't, just want to be in on it. And everyone's got their own path and what they want to do and teach their own for sure. But I've seen a lot of people that were more, different levels of tenure in comedy going like, you know what, this is actually something that I'm going to want to have to get in on it, and meeting comics that I wouldn't have met otherwise. And it's been really fun to see a lot of folks and different shows come up, and it's a legit thing. A lot of people are doing and having fun with.
Yeah, and it, like at first it was just individuals trying to get their buddies on a Zoom show or mic, and now comedy clubs like Broadway Comedy Club and Flappers, and they've gotten on board and realized they can get some revenue and help promote people. Like when we can say out of the pandemic that we've performed on Broadway Comedy Club and Flappers, then we get those names under our belt as if we traveled there. It's the same. Who cares?
Yeah, it's weird. I have a weird, like, whenever someone asks like for credits and stuff, I always feel like I need to preface like it was Zoom. Like would they put me up if it was live? I have no idea, and I'm not gonna know. I don't want to know, kind of. but I mean, there's so much access, so many fun comedians. Yeah, Broadway. Broadway Comedy Club, partnering with Comedy Therapy, put on the New York Underground Fest that I'm doing a show with them tonight. And yeah, it's a lot of fun being able to do shows with people, not only like on different levels of comedy, because again, I'm really new, but just ones that I wouldn't have seen just because how would I have seen you in your region if, you know, you weren't on, I was just going to see it if it wasn't like on, you know, like Amazon or Netflix or something. And just being kind of geeking out on comedy. It's been really fun to see people's
Yes.
comedy from all over.
You're making a name for yourself in a couple different ways. Let's break that down. This is the Niko Lukoff Hour, in case you didn't know it.
Jeez.
They used to have Queen for a day in the 60s. Now this is King for a day. Do you identify as a king? I shouldn't assume.
I am a male. I am a
Okay.
cis male.
Phew.
Whatever.
Well, anyway, you are helping the comedy community by having displaced comedians. Can you break down for people what in the world is displaced comedians on Facebook?
Sure. So basically, when the pandemic hit, I just really I just gotten the bug, you know, a few months prior. So I'd only done about 30 mics live, and I just wanted to keep practicing and keep doing sets. And I did them pretty inconsistently when I traveled. I live in Idaho, but on the other side of this, I definitely intend to do comedy here, but I hadn't prior. And I just wanted a way to keep on doing it. And I saw when I traveled, I had joined different regional Facebook groups to see what mics to hit, and then made some connections there. And then at the pandemic and things were shut down, I saw that, you know, several people were putting on these Zoom mics, and there was other platforms, but mostly gravitated towards Zoom. And just wanted a way to kind of organize it, because I ended up hitting one, and it, you know, just totally went horribly. I mean, I'm a new open micer, so like it was not good, but I was like, I need to keep working on this and figure out a way to improve and not just waste this time, in my view. So there were a few different mics in different regions, and I just want a good way to keep track of them. And I didn't really see that being done in a way that I thought could grow the way that I thought was possible. So rather than just like make a list or a website and go like, hey, add your stuff, which I don't think would have gotten the results that we are at right now. Just made it as a group. Say, hey, be in the group, access this, let's get together, and then pulling people in from different scenes. Hopefully, you know, I was thinking that behavior would draw other people to tell me about other ones in their scenes, and maybe start their own and just talk about it, and just kind of also just connect and help each other out in the community and grow. And then since then, I haven't checked today. We're around 5,500 members right now. It's pretty active. And for the most part, I think positive. There's definitely some growing pains with that, and things like with any kind of scene, because that's what it is. It's a comedy scene that's a weird one, with people from all levels. Like there's people that have never done Zoom. People there have never gone on a stage before, and there's people that have been doing it for decades. So it's just all over the place. And not that tenure in that sense necessarily means good or bad or whatever. It's just, it is what it is, and it's different. So it's kind of a weird mix of people from all over that kind of ends up combusting in some ways sometimes. But overall, I think it's pretty fun.
So what is the best way of letting people out there know why they'd want to come to Displaced Comedians? What can it do for them? Everybody's into the same radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me?
So here's what I'll say. I'll say, being in the group, you're gonna see more activity and communicate with people, and opportunities for shows and discussions. I tell people this all the time, though. If you don't want to join another group, because there's stuff you don't want to see on there, and I totally get it. So if you don't want to join another group, I got the URL, displacedcomedians.com, and you can just see the list. A lot of the signups, though, are done in the group. So I've had people actually leave the group and then go, a lot of them sign up there. That's how they actually run. So let's go back in the group.
Wow.
Or you can, yeah. So right now we got about 180 mics on that list there. And I would more say, I'd want to get more towards why I recommend just trying out getting on Zoom. Like if you just hadn't done it before, because a lot of people are like, it's weird, because it is super weird. And the first several times, especially, I was like figuring out I'm always figuring out my stuff equipment wise, but like, what angle of my room can I show without it being super distracting or being something I don't want to show people? Do I want to use a virtual background or do whatever? And people ask me like, what mic should I sign up for? Because there's so many, and I've done a bunch of them, and I like them all for different reasons. And I would just say fit your schedule, because there's so many. Because the website just goes to the Google Sheets that I maintain, and there's just tabs across the bottom. Actually, depends on how you have it laid up, bottom or top. Just day of the week. Pick your day of the week. Pick your time in Pacific, and just find something in your time and see how you like it. You might vibe with the room. You might not. Just like live, you might figure out that you feel at home, and you might find like this isn't for me. But I wouldn't base your whole experience on Zoom or what your outlook is based on like one or two experiences, especially if they're negative, just because, just like anything, like, there's different things to try, and it's a lot of fun.
That is so awesome that you found a way to organize it. I know there's a couple other people out there organizing lists and organizing the scene, like
Yeah.
Jolie RX, but she's doing something quite different.
Yeah,
And
she kind of, yeah, she had I mean, joined. She's in Displaced Comedians. It's time, and she yeah, she's done some cool shows, and Rampantly has done some neat stuff with mics and the shows that she's consolidated and kind of grouped in a way like that.
yes, absolutely. What's the best thing you've learned from doing Displaced Comedians and listing for people all of the mics around the world?
Best thing I've learned.
Or the
Um,
worst, the hardest thing you had to learn?
well, just putting the information together. A lot of times, folks have trouble with time zones,
Oh my God.
but that's
How
gonna
does
always be the case. It's just kind of fun. Nothing really, it's not something you really did with live. I imagine wasn't as big of a thing. I don't know. I didn't travel between time zones, so I didn't really have to deal with that. But like, just getting the information that I feel is pertinent to get put together there. And it's been neat just seeing how many people are doing different creative takes on it too, because a lot of them are you just do sets, some of them are you get feedback, some you get a topic that you find out about right then, and you riff on it for a few minutes. A lot of different creative ways to do that, and just seeing everyone's ideas on how to help grow each other and grow comedy. And the writing is great, just as far as like there's no way that I'd have the material base I have now if I hadn't been doing this. And just the networking, because now you can literally go pretty much anywhere if you're in the group, and you've connected with folks. You go pretty much anywhere in the country and some in other countries, and know somebody, to either
Yes.
connect with, get on a show with, or someone that can connect you with somebody else to get on something.
Yes. So I want to ask you if you could remind me how you grew up and when you first became funny. And I know you stepped into comedy from your work and people thought you were funny, but how early in your life did people notice your funny bone?
Oh geez. Well, I was a smart ass class clown as a kid, Um and just kind of in the group, my whatever group I was in, I was usually the more of a goofball than the other people. I wouldn't say I was super funny or anything, but like I was just the more goofy of the ones in the group, and I always liked getting attention.
Totally.
Yeah, I was the weirdo in class when they were like, "Hey, who likes public speaking?" I'm like, "Yeah, me. Let me do that. I want to go say stuff and have fun, and be the person to go to for stuff." And I just kind of found different opportunities to do that in different ways. And it's funny when I met my wife. In my material, I talk about getting shipped away, getting in trouble selling weed, and these different things. I don't go super deep into it yet, but I'm working on it. There was a little bit of like brainwashing stuff going on. So basically, I came out of that just feeling like unconfident in anything in the world, thinking I wasn't good enough to do really anything. And then met my wife, who just put a lot of effort in deprogramming me, and I was very fortunate, and just kind of introduced me to some comedies too. And I'd always enjoyed funny movies and everything, but I never really was like, I'm gonna be a comedian or anything like that. And then, geez, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I just started thinking like, I think I could come up with some funny bits. Like, I enjoy watching comedy, love it. I think I can do something. Then I would send little clips I would make of me talking for like 4 minutes with half a punchline at the end to some poor friends who would like weren't blowing smoke at my ass, but certainly weren't certainly weren't telling me that it was great, but certainly weren't like telling me not, he didn't tell me to stop trying. Not that I would have if they had, but I was very fortunate in that. And then eventually just had some, a couple little stories that I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fit this into a set. And then like I talked about last time, sign up on a mic, and was very fortunate that my first night was at Helium, and that I got on, and that it went decent. And I was very fortunate how that went.
I'd like to apologize because last time you were on, I was like, damn, I was in Portland for like 4 years and never got to party with Adam Posse or Shane Brendan. You just stumble bumble into Portland.
Yeah.
I'm stuck over at Harvey's and you're partying at Helium.
It was one of those very fortunate, not typical first night stories of just the right things happening at the right time, just being fortunate. And it's fun actually. Since then, I did I wasn't on the show this week, so there's a really fun Zoom show that I really like called The Grind with Dan Mills. He's out of Bellingham, Washington. He gets like legit comics from all over. He's got usually there's 50-ish people in the Zoom. Great audience, and I got to open on it about a month or so ago, and I will again actually in a week. But Adam Posse was on one of the shows there. I wasn't doing comedy on it that week. I was just there because I'm a fan. I like watching the show, so it was fun to connect and talking to him a little bit and see him on there too, and Zoom land a little bit.
Nice. Well, I want to ask you something about your early writing before you went on stage. May I do that?
Sure.
Okay. So before you donned the comedy stage in my hometown. Oh, by the way, I shouldn't have called you a son of a bitch. I should have said, "Oh, son of a bitch," but I called you and I apologize. That was
all right. I've been called much worse than I will.
You know, I have to be careful. I'm old and people just assume I'm racist. And now I'm throwing slurs at people. What the heck was I thinking? But
you're just fine.
Before you went on stage, you had taken material, you said, and passed it on to your friends.
Yeah.
And now, because of being on so many Zoom things, you've been able to create better comedy. So do you have like an example of something you said to your friends and how you made it? Are you able to tell us the vast chasm of difference between before and now?
Yeah. Well, I knew that open mics give around 4 minutes. So what I thought that meant is talk for 4 minutes, then at the end of 4 minutes have something kind of funny. That was in the before actually getting on the stage. There's no lot that's not logical. That's completely idiotic. I totally understand that. So I'll be like, I had a bit. What was I writing? Is the show was a while ago. Bobby Flay had a show about where he'd go to a town and he'd basically just ruin somebody's day by like making some really nice dish out of like they'd have their, I forget what it was called, but it was basically Bobby Flay ruins everyone's day or something like that, where you would come to a town and be like, you've been making clam chowder all your life and you're super passionate, so I'm gonna come and compete with you and use like ridiculous ingredients and win because I'm doing fancy shit and it's gonna taste better. And I wrote one of those was writing about that, about how much just I hated Bobby Flay and that's why, and just went into it and how he like, this guy had done this chowder thing all his life. And like the only line that was almost like a punchline was something like he brought lobster to a clam fight. And that's the only thing that was kind of funny in the whole thing. The rest of it was just ridiculous. Just stuff like that. And a couple little things about and I was working on some of the stuff about the getting sent away as a kid thing, because that's been kind of a core set even in Zoom land. It's not the only thing I talk about, but that's something I think is going to end up being what I'm known for in some way at some point.
Super interesting.
Yeah,
it draws us in to.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a story that not a lot of people get to tell. I don't have to worry did somebody make this joke before, because you didn't.
Yes.
And taking a weird period of time and finding the funny in it, which isn't always easy, but super fun and rewarding.
Yes. Is there any comedy you want to do?
Like right now, like, do I want to do a bit?
I guess.
You want me to do a bit?
Anything you want to say or do? Yeah. Is there any, if they're after, and if you, before we get off of here, I also, anything you want to tell people that I didn't get to, but we're not even done yet, is I can stay on here another 20 minutes.
That's cool. Yeah. I don't know. It was weird though. The other day I was sitting on a tall wooden chair. It was a little weird. It didn't have like armrests or anything. It didn't have backrests. Like it was a pretty uncomfortable experience. But then I put a pillow on it. It helped a lot. I really like that. It turned out I just needed a stool softener. But Belinda, if you didn't laugh at that, I would totally understand because that's just a numb ass joke. That's just a numb ass joke.
I like it.
I I
I'm into.
appreciate it.
I'm in that stage where I'm into stool softeners.
I don't know. I've been sitting on it for a while. I I appreciate you enjoying that that bit a little bit because I think it's got legs too. I think that's solid. That's solid.
Yes.
This is one
There's
of my
really
stupid
not a lot to
work
work out.
segments.
It works out really easily by itself. It's one of those things. So you got on stage when you were doing work, and you had told me a story. You're more than welcome to tell the story of how you invited your clients to your booth.
Oh yeah. I work for a company that sells equipment that is used in different industries. Breweries is one of them. And I had just that day met some of the distributors that we work with to sell our equipment. They'll sell other equipment and they'll just, package what we have in there. Mm-hmm. And I had, talked and emailed with them. I hadn't met him in person until that day. I took him to lunch, and that night we were just going to, go out and meet for food and some drinks. And so I texted him and just said, hey, you want to go out tonight? I'm going to be at Helium. If you want to join me, I think that'd be pretty fun. We can get some food and see some comedy. And they're like, yeah, let's do that. And then they showed up, and then when they got there, I said, okay, this is what's going on. Go inside, find us a table, go get yourself some food, get some drinks. You're gonna see me try stand up for the first time. And they were just like, what? I'm like, yeah. No matter what, this is gonna be an experience. It's gonna go, like, if it goes well, if it goes bad, no matter what, we're bonding right now. That's what's gonna happen, and this is gonna be no matter what, we're getting a fun story out of it. So they went inside, and I was just pacing outside like a lunatic, just timing stuff. Cause for some reason, I thought it was 5 minutes because their website said 3 to 5. And then I got on the list, and then it said 3 next to my name. So I freaked out thinking, oh, I got to crush down to 3 minutes of comedy, but I didn't have 3 minutes of comedy anyway. But it just, the way I timed out the story was 5, and I was like freaked out and how to cut it apart. And I did, just took out different pieces of it. And then I went up, and Shane Brendan was the host, and it was fun too because I met him in the green room and introduced myself, and he's like, oh, is this your first time here? I'm like, yeah, it's actually my first time trying this at all. And he's like, oh, cool, great. Then he goes up and he starts talking about on the stage about how, like, if it's your first time doing comedy and you think you're funny around the water cooler, you watch some Netflix specials and you think you could do that. And, maybe do the first time, maybe not have it like a, pretty packed comedy club. Maybe just go to some, like, all this stuff. I'm like, oh, this is so great. Like, just teeing it up. So when I went on, after the next comedian, I went on and just got to tie into that. I was like, thanks, Shane. It's like that's exactly who I am. And we're going to see how this goes. And it got some fun chuckles in the beginning. And then, did my few minutes, didn't die. Got some laughs, felt an incredible feeling, and just was like, I need to keep doing this.
Yes.
And then walked off stage, and that's when I enjoyed the rest of the show with the guys I'd met there. And then afterwards saw Adam close out the show, and he had just won the Portland's Funniest, and went up to him at the bar and said hi and thanks for, just saying hi and just saying I enjoyed his comedy. And he mentioned being half Samoan, and I showed him a tattoo I got after I lived in Samoa, and we kind of connected on that a little bit because he's like, I've never actually been there. That you're more Samoan than me. And then he was like, hey, I'm gonna go see you guys later. I'll be back. And I said hi to some people, and I expect I'd never see him again. And I didn't, I thought that was totally polite. But then he just came back and then asked me and one of the guys I was hanging out with if we want to go to another mic. I was like, I had not planned that at all.
Wow.
Like, what? And then we went to Lamp, and at the very end he had the host like come ask me if I want to go up, and at that point I certainly I wanted to go up just to do it, but I did not anticipate things going well, and I was correct. But it was just about doing it though, I think. And then we went and he was like, hey, we're going to Clinton House, want to go hang out? I'm like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. So we just hung out and met a bunch of fun people and had a really good time, and I kind of just kicked off an addiction, and been fun working on it.
The Lamp is a very difficult club to work. It's a narrow venue, a lot of in and out traffic. The bartender's sitting there rolling her eyes at everything everybody says. Not exactly. If you can do well, if you can keep people's attention there, you're doing good.
Yeah, it was fun. I knew it was a little bit. It was a test. It was just like, you went up and do it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go up. Hell yeah! And it was fun too because a lot of the comics that were there had just been at Helium, and some of them hadn't been, and they were just really funny, like
Yes.
just super funny people in this small air, like intimate setting.
It takes
it was cool.
it takes a very strong comedian to knock it out of the park at the Lamp. It
Oh yeah,
does. And did you meet Jake Silverman when you were
yeah.
there?
He was hosting. He was
Oh,
hosting.
oh my God.
Yeah.
He was the first comedian that I met in Portland, and I ran all my Jewish material by him to make sure it wouldn't upset him.
Oh, he's awesome.
I
I
love
uh
him.
I like following his video stuff. He's been doing some reporting, and for a while he was doing a live streaming every day, like at the beginning of the pandemic. Actually for quite a while. I'm not sure how long he was doing that for, but that was really neat. And then he had just recorded his crowd work special and released it during. That was fun to check out.
I really love him. He's quite a guy, you know. There for This is my 7th year in comedy with a brain injury.
Oh yeah.
And so my brain injury is a lot better. But my first 6 years, 4 of those 6 years, Portland comics had to put up with me. So they deserve all the respect in the world. I think they all started smoking when I went on stage. So
Oh.
yeah, I miss my Portland people. Some of them were very patient and supportive. Did you get to meet Alex Avery?
Yeah. No, you actually hold on. We have not met in person, but we've done some Zooms together, kind of towards the beginning of all this. And I had known I've been Facebook friends with Chris Kemper, so I know they'd worked together quite a bit. And I think that's how I might have connected those dots. I just added a ton of, just like a lot of new comments, added just anyone who had a microphone in their picture, anyone who was friends of a friends of a friends of a somebody was like, we're gonna just add them. But yeah, I've seen them on some Zooms and chatted with them, but I don't think we've met in real life.
Did I tell you Alex is like a son to me?
No. Well, you
Uh,
just did, but not before that. No.
yeah, yeah. I think of him like a son. You know, like he's a son I wish I would have had if I could have picked a son.
Oh.
He's just the greatest. He's so. Do you know he has gone to a skate park in Portland, got on Facebook and said, "I'm at the skate park. Come down if you want to run material by me." And by the way, if you ever get a chance to run material by him, he'll blow your mind how he can help you.
That's awesome. I hit him up again because we used to do that on Zoom and Facebook Messenger, being like just chatting about bits and different stuff like that too. Because he was getting into Zooms kind of around the same time I started doing them. And there's several of the main Zoom mics, the first ones I saw because I was in the Portland Comics group, are based out of Portland. And several of them going are still still there, like Jake Hooney and Logan. I'll always mess up his last name.
Lochmiller.
Yep, that one. Yeah, they do a really fun Zoom mic. They've been doing every week for a long time. Dan Wianco, Michael J. Phelps, and
Love
Zoe.
Michael and Dan.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
they all do a mic together, and it's fun. I went. I don't know if this was before or after last time you and I chatted, but I did go. I think it was in June, and I did an outdoor mic that Amber Gill put on, and so I got to meet Dan and Mike, and that was pretty fun.
I love Amber. She's quirky,
Amber, yeah.
very quirky. And like sometimes that's all it. That and good material and delivery, and you're off like a rocket.
Oh yeah, she's hilarious, and it was just really cool. Her putting on outdoor shows, switching mics in between, having the mic covers, sanitizing. A lot of people brought their own mics, being a nice, safe setting outdoors. And it was the first time I had performed, since March 12th, I think, of last year.
Okay, I have a question. Have
Sure.
you ever met Noriko Ott in Portland? OTT.
I have not met him. I know of him, but I've not. I don't think I've actually met him.
If you get a chance to see him in his set when he won Portland's Funniest, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I don't know when it was. Oh my God.
I need to check it out.
He blew the roof off the place. Intelligent, funny, down to earth, in the moment, connecting with the crowd, everything.
That's
I'm
awesome.
surprised he hasn't been on late night. I'm surprised.
Not yet, I guess.
Not yet. Yeah, he's really, when he's hitting it out of the park, he's I mean, of course, he's like just like Adam Posse. They both won Portland's Funniest.
Yeah.
Nuriko won before Adam Posse. So yeah. So you're based in Idaho. What city are you in?
I live in Nampa, Nampa. It's near Boise.
Mm-hmm. And is there any comedy in a normal environment that goes on in Nampa?
Not, I don't believe so currently. Boise has shows and mics called Lounge at the End of the Universe. I haven't been there. I know that they do a good like safe kind of setup though. Idaho's a little weird because well we depending on where you go, COVID's real or it's not. So and how it's like treated in that sense. But I know that they were doing. It's weird because like I'm living here and I wasn't really connected with the scene here, and I am a little more connected now since Zoom because I've actually met comics in my area on Zoom. But when things are like more actually opened up and we're on the other side of this, I look forward to doing more here. So in my actual town, I think there might be at a brewery at some point, but it's about half an hour away. Like I said, to Boise, where there's more opportunities for that, which I fully intend to dive a bit more into on their side of this.
Since you're smart and you're able to organize things, what's in the future for you besides being on a lot of shows and mics? What specific goals or milestones do you want to pass in your life in comedy?
It's weird because my main goal has just been to get as good as I can get at this. Like I have a great job and I can't really commit to a lot of shows, probably especially on the other side of this, just because I'll travel. Like I might have to like not know, but tomorrow I'm gonna be on the road and going to Washington for a few days over here. So I can't really easily commit to like, hey, I'm getting booked on the show unless it's on a weekend or something, which would be fun too. So I mean, more near term, I'd like to do some kind of weekend live shows, and just see where this can go because we have the technology and we have the capability to connect with anybody everywhere. So how far is this going to go? I don't know. Are people going to pay real money to do Zoom shows? And some shows are and some aren't. But obviously, if I was in this for money, I'm putting my energy into the wrong thing. I think someday I never really put like goals out there specific, like a tangible thing other than like I just want to get as good as I can get. But even before doing stand up, I really like dry bar specials. Everything I do is, PG-13 or below. And I've just finally kind of verbalized that I'd like to someday have a dry bar special.
Absolutely. So, me too.
And I don't see what stops me from it other than me. So I'm going to figure it out and keep working on sets that, go together, not just fun little bits, but like putting together strong set and other things. And I've met several people in Zoom land who have specials there, and some who I chat with pretty frequently on Facebook and feel, we're friends and can communicate openly. So I have some kind of additional insight on some of that. I think that'll help me. And I don't know, maybe that's 10 years from now. I don't know. But
maybe it's next month.
Yeah.
The thing is that when you communicate with people who are stronger than you in comedy on a regular basis, you're going to get stronger just by osmosis.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And just seeing and being connected to so many people. And I think this is an environment that lends itself towards helping each other with like tags and stuff. Some people don't like that. I love it. Like I'll be done with the set and I'll done something kind of new or whatever, that with people that I've Zoomed with quite a bit, and they'll message me something, I'll message them something, and it helps us get better. And live, I know you share tags and stuff live too, but I wasn't ingrained enough in any specific scene to really like do a show, sit down and talk to and actually get real actionable feedback. And that was real hard because I was like, how do I make, I'll have a night where I spoke for 3 minutes at a bar to absolute silence. And I'm like, how do I make that better? I don't know.
Exactly.
and then and working together with people to help improve, I think, is accelerating that process. Plus just having so many opportunities. Friday night, I did 6 sets inside like an hour and a half. And the set changed just a little bit throughout, but it was really fun. And I wouldn't have had that otherwise.
Wow, I can't believe you did. That's crazy. 6 sets in an hour and a half.
That was not, it's not ideal to bounce out of a show really quick, but like I told a couple of shows, like, look, one had changed their date, and then one of them, I was just like, hey, is it okay if I'm, might maybe come back after or something like that. It just worked out because there's so many people that are putting on these Zoom mics and shows, and if you time it right, it works out.
I know. Like I would be in the hospital. That's the equivalent of me drinking 8 rock stars and going to Zumba class. I can't do that. My adrenaline would be through the roof and I'd never calm down and I'd have a heart attack and die.
Oh, everything before the heart attack and die with part, I was on board. I'm like, I love the adrenaline. I'm like, I'm jumping here, and then someone was like, "Hey, your spot's over here." I got a spot over here, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do that. Come back." And it was fun doing stuff because a lot of these Zoom shows are with a lot of people who I Zoom with already, which is great. I love doing that. But sometimes they get on some that are from a lot of comics that I haven't seen a lot on Zoom, which is kind of which is really fun because I get to see comedy I've never seen. It's also validating in a different way because it's like,
Yes.
it's seeing people from different scenes that I wouldn't have seen otherwise, and it's just fun.
I'm going to say something that's going to blow your mind. Ready?
All right.
Okay. Before Zoom and the pandemic, you needed to be a road comic to go across the country to get your hand stamped that your material worked in every single kind of situation. But now because of Zoom, you already done that.
Yeah. It's going to be different from live. It's going to be different from live because that's like my number one fear is I get on a stage live and I'm like, and I'm going to bomb, obviously live. Everyone's going to, but like go and do stuff that like was tested that I felt like worked really well in this format. And then it just not. And then figuring out how to adjust it and just not working. Like that's the fear. But even if that's what happens, I at least spent this period of time getting better at like writing and everything. So like, even if I had to dump all the stuff that I built here, then at least I think anything new is going to be better than it would have been if I hadn't done any of this.
Yes. I really don't foresee that anything that's been done in Zoom world will have to be tossed out. I think that people who have been practicing in Zoom are going to be miles ahead of where they would have been if they never came on Zoom.
I'm agreeing and I'm hopeful that that's the case. I think that's the truth. Some stuff too is fun because I do a bit where I'm kind of just crapping on Zoom chat, which I think it'll be fun to tie in. It might actually expand a little bit because then I get to explain this weird world we lived in for a year or whatever that ends up being, and trying to connect that with the live audience and like what that was like in certain ways, which I think is going to be fun and kind of help relate in a way because we were all going through this weird time together doing whatever we happen to be doing, and
yes,
and we all went through this crazy thing together in different ways, and to connect with it it's going to be kind of neat.
I think it would be fun when the world opens up again to have a big screen with the Zoom thing where you're live in front of the audience, but then you got the Zoom people watching and making comments. And then the audience gets to heckle the heckler.
That'd be fun. I know some venues have been doing some hybrid shows. The way I viewed it is like I'm sure there's a lot of different ones that I just hadn't thought of. The main one I was thinking of is if a combination like what you're saying would be really neat too. But like if there's just a live show just with the comedians that are local or in the area or whatever happen to be there, and then like, hey, now come to the stage as a special guest from New York or whatever, or Omaha, Nebraska, or Nampa, Idaho, or wherever it happens to be, and then just have on the screen that comedian zoom in, and everyone's already charged up. They're excited. They're doing, they're at a comedy show and having fun already, and now they're getting this other special weird treat where they didn't go to a comedy club just to watch Zoom, because I think that can happen. I think that is going to be harder to sell, and I don't know the economics of the stuff at all, or the business side, just the way I'm thinking about it. And then have like special guests come in from different places that you'll never have seen before,
like a drop-in guest.
Yeah, or like the audience thinks it's a drop-in, but they already know. It's I'm thinking about. I'm thinking the terminology. I'm probably wrong on it. Yeah, like exactly, to come in and be like, here's that person that just happened to, be able to grace us with their presence, and they're gonna do 10 minutes or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, you can get some big names for very little money that way.
Yeah, or names that aren't big that maybe are gonna be someday, because no one would have maybe heard. They're not going to get the same reach without Zoom, because they weren't going to fly out to do a guest spot.
Exactly. Well, have you thought about owning your own comedy club, like brick and mortar?
Not really.
I mean,
if I won the lottery,
I can see you doing that.
I could. If I won the lottery, who knows? There's probably a combination of like brewery, coffee shop, coffee house, comedy club, venue, theater kind of thing.
Sounds very Portland.
That's if I won the lottery, the jackpot, and maybe.
Have you ever done comedy in Portland at Dante's Strip Club?
No, is that there was one that was at a bar next to a strip club that I did that you can hear the music like nice and loud, which was cool. Because it was definitely more entertaining than my set that I did there. I
That
forget
was
the name of
probably
it now.
It was probably Dante's next door, and then a club, a bar, where inside they're connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, well, there's you can't walk in between them, I don't think, but like the
No.
bar, yeah, but there was the bar, and then the other side was so I had Lyft drop me off, and I opened up, and I'm like, I don't think this is the comedy place. And then they told me, no, you're looking for next door.
Yeah.
I think it would have been funny though if they said, yeah, just go sit over there, wait till we call your name. I would have just sat there for like an hour, just been like, no one's calling my name. Where's the list?
And now coming to the stage, Niko.
Yeah. Gosh, that was about a year ago, and I talked for 7 minutes, got a couple of chuckles, and I was just happy that I memorized 7 minutes of anything and spoke.
The guys that run it usually give out pizza. Did you get free pizza?
I did, and this might have been a different thing, but no, I did it. Maybe they saw my set and like, this guy doesn't get pizza. I wouldn't have fed me.
Thin crust. Give him the thin crust. Oh my gosh. You are just a delight, and I need to get running, and I'm going to Gene Kim's mic over in New York. Do you know Gene Kim from Gladys Simon's room?
I don't think so. Is that a Zoom?
Get on over. They need to meet you.
Oh.
Gladys Simon has helped hundreds of comedians become famous in New York. Wednesdays, 5 Pacific. Gladys Simon, and Gene Kim is her booker. You go through Gene Kim to come and visit, to get vetted, to someday be on the 5 o'clock Wednesday. And Gene Kim does Sunday at noon Pacific.
Okay, and this is all on Zoom?
Yeah, it's going to start any minute, like at 12 o'clock.
All right, I'll gotta get some of that information. If part of that's a mic thing, I don't think I have it on my list, but I need to get that info in there.
It's
I like
new, and she does it differently. Like you can talk to the comedian. She wants the comedians to get used to being interrupted and get stronger.
Oh.
So it's one of those. I was like, what the heck is going on? But yeah, you got to know what you're stepping into, right?
I'm glad you told me that. So I'll probably watch them before I participate. I'm not good at that yet, but I need to hone my chops and learn it, because how else am I going to get better?
Today's my first time to try to be open-minded about this whole new, what are you doing? Shut up. I'm going to try at 12 o'clock.
Way to go.
If you hear about me, going and buying a rifle at Walmart, you'll know why. That's kind of scary. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been a delight. Plug away. Take us out and plug everything you got, Niko.
Yeah. So to see everything I got going on, go to laughyourlukoff.com. That's my website. It goes to my link tree list. It's got links to everywhere that I'm doing stuff. Tonight at 4 Pacific, I'm on with the Broadway Comedy Club / Comedy Therapy all-stars show dealy. That's gonna be really fun. There's a lot of funny people on that. Tomorrow night I'm on Janet Kelly's show. I forget exactly the full name of it, but basically it's gonna be on Google Meets, where it's gonna be me, her, Tony Sparks out of California as well, and several other comedians doing sets, and we're just gonna be streaming the audio, and there'll be a link that I'll post to that too. I haven't done one like that before, where doing sets with comedians that I can see. We can see each other, but it's just going to be streaming the audio portion. So that's going to be kind of neat, kind of more like radio feel, I guess, for trying to see what translates in that way. Got a bunch of other shows. Just check out my Instagram, LaughYouLukoff. Hit the website, laughyourlukoff.com, to keep an eye on what I got going on. Linda, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. It's always lovely seeing all your different interviews and stuff you're doing, and fun seeing you on the mics. And very happy to have connected with you here.
Yes, thank you so much for coming back. Come back anytime you want to promote more.
Awesome.
Bye. Love you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.